Hello guys and girls, this is Kentucky and today let's take a closer look on the Arcane Mage. In the previous expansion Legion, Arcane suffered heavily from undergearing and it became very strong when overgeared. But compared to Fire and Frost, it was weak during the whole expansion. I think it could change now because of the rework of the class and mainly because of the rethinking of its talents, mainly Touch of the Magi, and its Arcane Charge synergies. So let's take a look on the spellbook. Arcane Barrage is now on a reduced cooldown, and Arcane Charge increases its damage by less than in Legion, which means you can have much more bursty Arcane Barrage usage with the charge up. So you can build up to 4 Arcane Charge, then use Barrage, then use Charge Up, and then use Barrage again. So your AoE DPS will be much more bursty, but on the long run, on sustain wise, it is roughly the same, because it deals reduced damage. Arcane Barrage is also slightly changed. Its mana cost goes up by a less than in Legion, because each Arcane Charge increases its mana cost by only 100%. And, by the way, an addition that each Arcane Charge reduces the cast time of Arcane Barrage by 8%, which means from 1.9 seconds, put a charge up, it goes down to 1.3, which is great. It's just basically a baked-in temporal flux from Legion. The Arcane Charge synergy from Arcane Explosion has been removed because the gear inflation thing that happened in Legion, because when you've got tons of mastery and you've got tons of versatility and crit, and you can also multiply it with the percentage increase on Arcane Explosion by Arcane Charges, it went up to a very high number, so it is a good thing. Now Arcane Explosion's damage is flat, you can count with it, and it won't inflate that much. Still generates 1 Arcane Charge if any target hits. So basically you have to hit 4 Arcane Explosion to use a Barrage on AoE. Mages, all mages received Arcane Intellect, which is a great thing, I think. We will need a mage in our raid. Arcane Missiles, now it is a always active spell. You can just spam it if you want. Anytime, many Arcane Missiles. If you want to just spam Arcane Missiles, then refill your mana with Evocation, that could be possible. So it's not a stupid thing. But definitely it's not the strongest option. Arcane Missiles also received a new passive skill, which is Clear Casting. For each X amount of mana you spend, you have 1% chance to gain Clear Casting, and it makes your next Arcane Missiles or Arcane Explosion free, and makes Arcane Missile to channel 20% faster, which is great. And with the talent, during Clear Casting, you can also cast Arcane Missiles on the move when Clear Casting procs. Moving on from here, Arcane Power is now only for 10 seconds, so it is in a reduced duration. It's a slight nerf, but I don't think it's that bad because of a talent. Moving on, displacement window is slightly more tight, because you can use only within every 10 seconds of blinking, and it has 1 more cooldown, so basically it's also a slight nerf. But we got Remove Curse, which is a new spell for... Of course it is a returning spell, but from Legion it is a new spell, so you can remove curse from a friendly target, so it is useful on PvP and PvE as well if needed. Then moving back, Evocation is the last thing that's changed. it now doesn't refills your mana, it increases your mana regeneration by 750% for 6 seconds, which means it restores more than full of your mana. So basically, as I'm now 110, it will increases my mana regeneration to refill my full mana on 120. And it is also very good, of course, because of a talent, because on the talent section there are a lot of changes, but still there is a lot of familiar spells. So moving on, the first tier is Amplification, Rule of Threes, and Arcane Familiar. Arcane Familiar is great for its maximum increase, and it's totally passive, you don't have to play around it, and it's goddamn weak, so you should never take it. So the decision is between Amplification and Rule of Threes. Rule of Threes is just basically a mana regeneration tool. When you gain your third Arcane charge, the cost of your next Arcane Blast or Arcane Missile is reduced by 100%, so it's basically free. Which is only a slight problem because of the charged up system. Because if you use charged up, you won't get third Arcane charge, only fourth, and Rule of Threes won't proc. So it could be a problem with charged up, but it has really good potential. Amplification, however, is great because when clear cast procs, Arcane Missiles fires one additional missile, but it won't increase its duration. So it's still 2.1 seconds, sorry, and it deals a ton more damage. So this is a great option. Rule of 3 is also competitive, but I would choose Amplification. Level 30 roll, Mana Shield, Shimmer, and Slipstream. Shimmer and Mana Shield is the same as the last expansion, so I don't want to talk about it too much. I guess mages already know how they work. And Slipstream is slightly changed because it only allows Arcane Missiles to be casted while moving, to be channeled while moving when it is procced by clear casting. So basically you can't move, as you can see, but if you clear cast, let me proc it, please proc it, please clear casting, please. So basically on the move you can use it while it is clear casted. So it's a great tool. Evocation can also be channeled while moving, so I guess Slipstream is the default option in this tier. Level 45, Incanter's Flow, Mirror Image, and Rune of Power. Rune of Power is great, it has always been great, and it will always be great, except if they nerf it to 10%, which then it became useless because of Incanter's Flow. But I think Rune of Power is the best option in this tier currently. Mirror Image is also very close, because the copies are present for 40 seconds, which is great. The uptime on Mirror Image and Rune of Power is basically, if you count it, is the same, because 2 minute, 40 second and 40 second, 10 second is roughly the same. So they're really close in value. And Incanter's Flow is also close in value. Sometimes if your procs are good and your procs happening at a good time, then Incanter's Flow is way better than Rune of Power. But it is way too random to be a default choice for every situation, in my opinion. But if you like the passive option, then just choose Incanter's Flow, you can play it very well. Level 60 roll, Resonance, Charge Up, and Supernova. Supernova is the knocking up effect. You should always choose it if you need that crowd control. But in any other situation or scenario, in AoE you should choose Resonance, because Arcane Barrage deals 15% increased damage per target it hits. So basically 5 times, because 4 Arcane Charge increases the number of targets hit by Arcane Barrage by 1. So it increases by 4, and the main target, so it is 5 target. So 5 times 15% increased damage, which is great. Basically because you will use a lot of Arcane Barrage because of the short cooldown. Charged Up is a great option. It immediately grants you 4 Arcane Charge. It makes you able to cast 2 Arcane Barrage back to back. And you can also use a very lot of things with charge up. For example, the Touch of the Magi, but first this row. Basically I suggest charge up for single target and resonance for AoE. Level 75 is basically crowd control roll because of the double Frost Nova from Ice Ward and the AoE Incapacitate from the Ring of Frost. Works the same as it was, entering or leaving from the circle. Any mobs, they will be incapacitated, players not affected. And Chrono Shift should be used anytime if you need a movement boost, basically. Level 90 roll, Reverberate, Touch of the Magi, and Nether Tempest. Nether Tempest currently tuned too weak to be useful, both in single target and AoE, so I'm not suggesting to take it in any scenario. Reverberate should be used on every AoE situations, because if Arcane Explosion hits at least 3 targets, it has 50% chance to generate an extra Arcane Charge. And because you can only cast 2 Arcane Explosions until Berish comes off of cooldown, the extra Arcane Charge generation could be very handy, because you will only spend less downtime between casting Berishes. And Touch of the Magi is the newest best friend of the Arcane Mages. It works slightly similar to Prismatic Crystal, but it is different. So let's take a look on it. It procced by Arcane Blast, it has 10% chance to proc, and it accumulates 20% of the damage you deal to the target for 8 seconds, and then exploding for that amount of arcane damage to the target and all nearby enemies. So basically we use it in single target situations, cleave, 1, 2, 3 or 4 target cleaves, and possibly if there is one long living target and a lot of smaller HP targets, which are dying very fast to use resonance and reverberance, or dying too fast. How you should play with it? It has a strong synergy with the last tier, so at first let's take a look on the 100 tier, which is Overpowered, Time Anomaly and Arcane Orb. Arcane Orb is just the AoE Arcane Charge, well, gathering spell. It could be very useful in AoE situations when you use Reverberate and Resonance, because you can just cast way more Arcane Barrage if you can obtain Arcane Charges with Arcane Orb as well. Overpowered could be very good in single target situations, but mainly you shouldn't use it, I think, because of the Time Anomaly shenanigans. Because if you take this, at any moment of the time, you have a chance to gain Arcane Power for 10 sec, Evocation for 1 sec, or gain 4 Arcane Charges. These things happen like totally randomly. As you can see here, I got Evocation. Wait a little bit, I'm on 0 Arcane Charge, just doing nothing, wandering around, and sometimes we will just proc something. For example, it will proc me for Arcane Charge or Arcane Power or of course Evocation. And these two have a really great synergy, because if this happens the same time that you proc Arcane Blast, Touch of the Magi with Arcane Blast, and also Arcane Power is popped, then your damage is highly increased. So let's take a look how this playstyle works. First, you are on 0 Arcane Charge, you're totally on 0. Let's build up some Arcane Blasts, and here you can see there's our Touch of the Magi. Do as much DPS as we can during this Touch of the Magi window. Use your Arcane Missiles anytime they proc, but you can just conserve. You can just cast 4 Arcane Blast and then Barrage, 4 Arcane Blast, received an avocation, and then Barrage. There's our Touch of the Magi, as you can see. As many damage as we could. And then Rune of Power, it's lucky. We have Touch of the Magi. And as you can see, there is a 9000 from Touch of the Magi. You can also do the burn phase as you wish, but you always have to take care that you have enough mana to cast the Touch of the Magi stuff. For example, Arcane Missiles, Arcane Missiles, Arcane Missiles, and a Barrage at the end. And there is a 9,200 hit from the Touch of the Magi, which is, of course, you can see it's AoE. And I still have mana because of the evocation proc from the time anomaly. And there's also here you can see the option to do more and more and more damage by charging up. As you can see, I gained again evocation, and now I didn't do evocation by myself, and I'm now at 50% mana. Just like don't cast for like 5 seconds or so. So these things here, this setup is great. I really enjoy playing it. I hope this also will be competitive. Here you can see that Arcane Blast and Touch of the Magi or Magi is like really close to each other if you have good procs. If you have bad procs, then of course Arcane Blast will be better. Or you can choose a much more safe option with the overpowered Nether Tempest, single target, rule of threes, kinda single target stuff, but it is slightly better on sustained, but there are much more. I think there is hope that this build will be better, and of course I like to play it, and I like it more than the other option, the safe option. So guys, try it. I can only recommend playing this because it is very, very good. It needs you to take good care of what you play or what you push, what button you push, what skill you use, in which order. It requires a great skill to master and to play it very well. And it is really fun. So go ahead and check out, and see you in the next video, which is the, as you can see here, Fire Mage. Bye bye!